Hi, my name's Laura Batante. This is My Two Bits. Today we're going to make a really fun Patrick Star craft, and you can make him one of two ways. You can either make him as a keychain, so he would be the perfect accessory for a backpack, or you can make him as a finger puppet, and he's easy to make and lots of fun, and we don't need very many supplies. So materials for today's project include pink, white, and black felt, and you really don't need very much of any of those. The template, which is included right there in the video's notes. You're going to want some embroidery floss in pink and black, and then for the little keychain guy, I used some of the green that you would see in his shorts to hang him with. If you do not want to do any of this sewing here, you can use a black pen. I've put his little dots on with a pink pen, or a red pen would be great. If we're cutting some pretty small pieces, so if you have a challenge with that and you have a really sharp X-Acto knife and you're allowed to use it, then you can actually trim a little bit with those. That doesn't work too badly. And also, of course, good scissors for cutting. And then I use Aleene's Felt and Foam Tacky Glue. If you don't have this and you have Aleene's original glue, that also works great. And if you don't have that, you can certainly use white glue. It just tends to, it's a little bit wetter, so it tends to sort of soak through the felt a bit. All right, let's get started. So I've cut out my pink pieces. There's two there. And I've also cut out the eyes. And then what I did, and you know, if you don't want to put the black in behind, you don't have to. But one of the benefits of putting in the black behind is that when you, if you're going to use it as a finger puppet, or if you're going to put it on here and it's a bit puffy, when you bend the shape, the eyes sort of split apart. And so his eyes are very close together. So when you put them down on the black, A, they really pop, and B, they kind of stay in place. So that's really why I did it. And like I said, you don't have to do it, but I'm going to glue them on to the black, and then I'm going to trim the black out. I'm leaving the tiniest bit of space in between, and then I'm going to cut around that as one piece. And I also I'm not going to use the template for the eyes or for the eyebrows, and I'll show you how I do that in just a minute. But first we're going to cut this out. All right, so I got the eyes done, and those turned out pretty good. So now for the pupils and for his eyebrows. These are very small pieces to work with, so I suggest that, you know, even though I drew them for you, because of course you're going to want placement and whatnot and size, I recommend for his eyebrows just cutting a little arch like this, a little curved line. This may be just a hair too thick, but no biggie. You can easily go back in and trim that out like so, and then just cut excuse me, just then cut a couple of lengths and you're done. So that's what I did for his eyebrows, and then I did very similar for his pupils. I just cut myself a small strip, and then I'm going to cut that in half, and then I'm going to just cut off the edges and make it a little bit rounded. Now, if this is too much, you don't have to do it this way. You could embroider the pupils in, or you could use a pen and draw that in. So it just your choice on what is more, what's easiest for you and what's the most comfortable for you. So go ahead and do that, and then we will meet back and we're going to put it all together. All right, so here's where we're at. We've got our pupils cut and our eyebrows cut, and they're sitting there waiting. The eyes I've actually attached, and it wasn't the first thing I did. The first thing I did was I put down my template and I popped my pen in at each point on the mouth, right there and there. because that is my reference point for sewing his mouth. And then I glued on the eyes because I want to have them there as reference while I'm sewing his mouth. Now, if you're not sewing, I think you should do the exact same thing. Glue these down and then draw on your mouth. That way you do have an idea of, you know, how close you are to the eyes as you're going. So that's what we're going to do next, is the mouth. And if you're doing embroidery like myself, you only need the one piece. And I am going to start just above my dot and go just over here to the side, because I am giving him the little I don't know what we're going to call that, corners of the mouth. All right, and then we're going to sew along all the way along to here and do the same thing on that side and finish off. So I'll do that, and then we will meet back and finish it off. All right, so I got my mouth on, and now we're just going to do the rest of our stitching. I will say this, if you are nervous about the sewing and you drew the mouth instead, the one thing that's great about felt and why it's such a good first sewing project is that it's so forgiving. Like, it's so easy just to go right back in if you make a mistake with the sewing and pull it out and just start again. Whereas if you're going to, you know, draw it on, you kind of only have one shot at it. So just something to think about while you're deciding on that. So we're just going to really just sew all the way around as small stitches, tight together and close to the edge, and making sure you keep your two pieces nicely lined up. And then we'll glue on the last couple of bits and we're done. So I'll sew all the way around and we'll meet back. So I've sewn all the way around to here. If this is going to be a finger puppet, so you would just tie a knot right here. If you want to stuff it, this is where you would stop and you would take a small amount, and I mean really small amount, like this is probably loads. And you're just going to pop it into his head there and just shove some down. You don't want to overstuff. I mean, this is a very small piece of felt, so he's got a very narrow head. So you don't want to make it too rotund. And then, yeah, just like that. And then when you get it as full as you want it, just finish sewing. But in this one, I'm making into a finger puppet, so I'm taking that out and just going to tie a knot. Okay, so now we're going to put on the very final bits, and a little tiny bit of glue is all you need. This glue is so awesome, it really sticks well. Whoops. And it is a little fussy, I'm not going to lie, to work with because it's so darn small. If you wanted to, you could make it a little bit bigger, but it would be very big as a finger puppet then. But for sure, if you wanted to make a little keychain kind of thing, you could absolutely. Enlarge it a bit. Oops. All right, and then a little bit of glue for the eyes. And I'm pretty sure that I mentioned earlier you could draw these on if you wanted to. I'm kind of a purist on this sort of thing. If I'm doing a paper craft, I want as much of it to be paper as possible, and if I'm doing a felt craft, I want as much as possible for it to be felt. So there we go. I think he looks pretty good. So now we're just going to put a couple of spots on. They're kind of red in the on TV, but I don't know. I found the red was a bit dark, so I'm just going to put them on like this. There you go. All done. And super easy to make, really. I mean, a little bit fussy because of the small bits, but other than that, very easy to make. A good first project for a new sewer. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, then please give the video a like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks very much.